Hello everyone, my name is DimitriusMac and welcome to the Week 6 and Week 7 recap, folks. I missed last week, folks, and I do apologize for that. I got so backed up on things that I had to do for school that I simply did not plan things right, and I was not able to get a video out. However, ironically, this week I have even more to do. I have midterms and everything along that lines, but I can't miss 2 weeks in a row, obviously, so I cleared some time in my schedule from doing schoolwork and for studying everything to do this video for you guys because I need to do it and I can't miss 2 weeks. So what are we going to be talking about in this video? There's a lot of backtracking that I have to do, of course, but not too much. I'm just going to be going over the recap, the scores of Week 6, not really going into too much detail because that's already 2 weeks behind. We're already looking forward to Week 8 coming up tomorrow, folks. And honestly, there's not going to be much to spend on that because the past is in the past, a lot of change. Then we're going to be going over Week 7. But what I really want to focus on more is not so much the individual players of how they help me, but the standings in the league. Because as we get to the halfway mark, Week 8, we are going to see a lot of players make desperate moves to get players to try and make that playoff push. Because in my league, we only have 6 more weeks before the playoffs start, I believe, or 6 or 7, I believe, 7, because the playoffs start in week 15 for our league. So it's coming to that time where you need to win at all costs. The time for losing, if you want to make the playoffs, is done. So we're going to be going over a few things, and as usual, folks, we're going to jump into some football and the craziness that is this league. So as I stated here, folks, or as I stated here earlier, we are just going to be going over the scores. As you guys can see, a 78-90 or 78-88 loss for me. One of the key things in that actually is if you take a look, whoops, I'm going to have to go to the simple box score here. And if you take a look at this, it was pretty evenly matched across, but what I left on the bench was 19 points from Carlos Hyde in that loss to Washington, and it really sucked because it did cost me the win here. But all you have to do is live and move on. Supremacy lost to the Murder Boaters 94-80. The kid got next. Actually ended up taking a win over Never Bowing Down, who is one of the powerhouses in our league right now. The Suge Knights handling Dibalas pretty easily, 100-66. And ESO Legends getting the narrow victory over the FundRaisers, and that has been Week 6. Now, starting off Week 7, I got the victory. In fact, it was, I believe, the 4th largest victory of the season, folks. The margin, it was an absolute crusher, a really good confidence booster for me. But let's take a look at what happened here. Alex Smith played really, really well on Thursday Night Football, even though they ended up taking the loss. But the real story, and I haven't done this before, but the real story, and you probably guys going to be thinking I'm a little bit biased because of my Raiders jersey, but the real story is Amari Cooper here on the bench just going off. He absolutely dominated the Chiefs secondary, and it was something that really you couldn't even, if you're a Raiders fan, you did not expect a 210-yard, 2-touchdown game. And from a fantasy perspective, that has got to be absolutely crushing if you left this player, you left Amari Cooper on the bench, which I'm sure, due to the performances of his previous games, a lot of people did. And so it sucks here for my opponent. He left 33 points on the bench here. And ultimately, that is pretty much what got him crushed. I don't think he would have won the game, but possibly because he left Kirk Cousins on the bench, who had 23 points, and Jared Cook, who got 10 points. So it would have been close. I haven't exactly crunched the numbers if you guys are seeing this. Well, you guys are seeing this, but if you guys are looking at this really closely, you can maybe crunch it in your head real quick to see the outcome. But this was a heavy loss because you don't know what you're going to get from these players weekly, but you certainly don't expect a 33-point outing, and to leave that on the bench when you're trying to get back into winning, it just hurts and it sucks. So I was able to take this victory, moving on to 2-5, and Supremacy dropping down to 2-5. Now this game right here, the Murder Boners versus the Kid Got Next, this actually came down to Monday Night Football, folks. And what you guys are going to see here is Derek Carr played really well, obviously, 417 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Carson Wentz played really, really well on Monday night. And I've talked to the Murder Boners before, but there's been a problem with him really getting like the right quarterback in at a time, and it's cost him some games, but not this time. He decided to roll with Carson Wentz, which personally I think he should just roll with the rest of the season. It's looking like the Eagles and their offense are just on a whole nother level. And honestly, Carson Wentz is one of the best. You could arguably argue that he is the best quarterback in fantasy right now. He's definitely top 5, maybe top 3. And he is just got it going. So Carson Wentz getting 31 points. Ezekiel Elliott getting 39 points on that San Francisco 49ers defense. So it was just crushing. The rest of his team, Mike Evans got him 14 points. But other than that, the rest of his team didn't do anything. Literally right here, he got almost as much points as the kid got next, just between these 3 players alone. And that is just frightening, when you have players of this capability on the team. And he didn't even get a very good performance from Devontae Freeman, who we all know is a very explosive player and can provide a lot of fantasy points. So this was really just a hell of a performance from the Murder Bonus and your team. Congratulations on your players performing there. Getting this victory right here the way that he did, because he was down quite a few points when he was going into Monday night. And I wasn't sure Carson Wentz was going to be able to put up the numbers that he was going to need for him to win, but he obviously did. And the Murder Boners moves on to, I believe, 4-3. Yes, 4-3. And the kid next drops down to 2-5. Perhaps the surprise win of the week, we have Never Bowing Down, who was 4-2, facing an undefeated Suge Knights. And our league champion has finally lost a game. It is unbelievable because I thought he would go undefeated because that's just the way it seems that he was rolling. But let's take a look at, let's take a look at what was going on here. We had Jared Goff versus Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott dominated that performance, obviously, because he had the matchup. He had San Francisco. All right, your quarterback, if you're playing San Francisco, is probably going to get you a lot of points. And then what else do we have? Even with it, Leonard Fournette out. A last-minute scratch. Leonard Fournette did not play, and he didn't realize it, but he was still able to beat the league champion. And it is just amazing because a lot of his players that perform really, really well did not. Melvin Gordon with only 4 points. I believe that's his lowest outing of the season. And then even Keenan Allen just did not do good, even though they got a shutout versus Denver. Those two weren't the big participants in why they got that shutout. But Shady McCoy actually, for once, I believe, getting his first 2 touchdowns of the season. He really performed. But ultimately, what it came down to is his Charger players did not perform the way they needed to. Kareem Hunt did what he needed to do versus Oakland. He got 11 points. He got over 100 scrimmage yards. He's keeping that record going. Boy, oh boy, is that player... Boy, oh boy, is Kareem Hunt good. I mean, my goodness. And his defense just performed well, but it was just performances from the quarterback on Never Bowing Down side, and just everybody played well, except for the kicker and obviously a Leonard Fournette. And there was a Jarvis Landry on the bench, which could have helped him out, which would have got him the win, but... you live and you move on. I have no sympathy for you, Deion. If you're watching this, I don't, because you're the league champion. You started off 6-0. You have a comfortable lead. You're probably going to make the playoffs again to defend your title, unless you have a major slippage. So, you taking this L, it just means that you're mortal and you can be beat. As for our 4th matchup of the day, folks, we have the Balos putting a pretty bad beat down on the FundRaisers. And one of the problems that the FundRaisers has been having is that his super duo that was supposed to be putting a lot of points, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, they have not been getting it done. But today, or I should say for week 7, they did versus New England. 17 points for Matt Ryan, and Julio Jones gets his first touchdown of the season. So you like to see that performance, and you're like, yes, they're finally paying off. Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, God, I've been waiting all season for them to do this. And then you get a Marshawn Lynch gets suspended in that game, and nobody else shows up. Alshon Jeffrey, a nice matchup versus Washington, doesn't do anything, drops a stinker. And Derrick Henry drops a stinker versus Cleveland, of all teams. So it's just a tough loss. It's a tough loss, and really there was nothing on his bench. And he's done, we'll get into it in the waiver wire section, but he's picked up a bunch of players. He's trying to revamp his team desperately because he just seems to be one of the lowest scoring teams in the league. Even though his record is better than some teams, I think in the beginning, when everybody was really figuring out their roles, and there was the first 2-3 weeks, folks, we had very low scoring games. But the FundRaisers just hasn't grown out of that, and because of that, he is now sitting at 3-4, which is a better record than me and better record than a lot of people in the league. But still, his record could be a lot better if he could just put up some points on a week-to-week basis. And then we have ESO Legends absolutely demolishing Isaiah's team of measly. That might be one of the lowest outings of the season. I want to say that might want to be one of the lowest outings of the history of this league. This looks pretty bad. I mean, 49 to... It was just nothing. Just absolutely on Isaiah's team. Just nothing. You got Zach Ertz, who was the best tight end in fantasy by a pretty large margin. All right. And just nothing across the board. Nothing. Aaron Rodgers getting hurt in week 6. That absolutely hurt Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson getting nothing done versus New Orleans of all teams. And really, it was just a dud dropped by the entire team, except for Zach Ertz. And then on the other end, you had Drew Brees and Todd Gurley playing for ESO Legends really, really well. And that's all that he needed. He didn't have a fantastic week. 83 points is good, but it's not a fantastic week. And so you look at the bench, and there was nothing. There's nothing on the bench here for Isaiah's team, and it was just a tough loss that he's just going to have to move on from. He sits at 3-4, and ESO Legends now sits at 6-1, which is now tied for the division or tied for the league lead, which is pretty crazy, folks. So the week 7 ads, they're not important because that's all in the past. We won't go over it. Of course, you can see some of them on the screen before I move on to the rest of the week 8. But we have a Dion Lewis picked up by the kid got next. I thought he wasn't that active, but him actually picking up Dion Lewis has me, hope that he will return to a full attention to the league. Me picking up Jordan Reed after I dropped him, after I picked him up in the same week, it kind of made no sense. But after that performance versus Philadelphia, I figured, okay, if he can stay healthy, it's looking like he's going to be the lead target on this team because we all know the receiving core on that team is just nothing. The receivers on that team are Jordan Reed and Chris Thompson. And then we have here, looking at the rest of the picks up, we've got pickups like Kai Forbath, who had a very big week. Like I said, our league commissioner, the FundRaisers, he's looking for everything. I believe Kai Forbath had 22 points in fantasy. Latavius Murray, I went after him. I'm trying to ride this train of man, is this guy really going to put up a performance versus Cleveland? Is he going to continue to get, is he going to take away carries from Jerick McKinnon? I don't know. But we have some other pickups. Kenny Stills, who actually didn't perform that well on Thursday night versus the Baltimore Ravens. Actually, nobody performed well versus the Baltimore Ravens on that Miami team. Some other notable pickups here. I believe the Baltimore Ravens defense were picked up by the FundRaisers. He put them in, and I believe he got 29 points from them because they absolutely demolished Miami. They were absolutely key, and they're key to him getting the start on the lead this week, folks. So moving up, there's really nothing to. There's a lot of gambles this week, folks. I think you have a Deontay Thompson. He's a gamble. I think you have a O.J. Howard. He's a gamble. A C.J. Anderson. He's a gamble. There's nothing too noteworthy out there this week. It's just, like I said at the beginning of this video, people are trying to really get, people are getting desperate. Even the people with winning records or people sitting in good spots, playoffs, they're starting to get a bit nervous because you have to win now. It's just that point, and people are picking up players that they need. You see players like DeMarcus Robinson, Mohamed Sanu, you're thinking, like, why are these players getting picked up? They're not huge impact players, but with injuries to quarterbacks and receivers and just injuries that have just plagued the NFL this season, as they do every season, we're just looking for possible breakouts. My league is looking for possible breakouts, and you can see that in the actions of the waiver wires this week. So now, folks, we have come to the last segment of the show, folks, where I go over this week's matchup, my week matchup in particular. But this week I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently because I want to go over the other matchups, and then I'm going to end going over the sittings in the league, where everybody sits at in the league, like where they rank at and everything. But I play the kid got next. Right now, you guys can see my lineup right now. This is who I am going with. I've got a ton of faith in my running backs to do well, but I have really good men. I got Mark Ingram at freaking Chicago. I got Chris Thompson at Dallas, AJ Green at Indianapolis, Nelson Aguilar at San Francisco, Jordan Reed at Dallas, Carlos Hyde at Philadelphia. That's probably going to be a struggle, but they believe in that man, and somehow he pushes out decent yardage. If you look at his stats, if you're not an owner of him personally, you should look at his stats. He's actually been pretty dang good in standard leagues. So I'm going with that. Made a kicker change to Philadelphia because they're playing San Francisco 49ers, so hopefully a lot of points from there. And then the Bengals defense versus Cincinnati. I'm sorry, the Bengals not versus Cincinnati. They are Cincinnati. The Bengals defense versus Indianapolis. After what Jacksonville did last week, it's looking like Indianapolis is the team to really pick on, or a team really to pick on. So I'm going with that, and I'm hoping that this gets me a lot of points here. But DeMarco Murray on bye has not made the change yet. Greg Olsen has been in all season on injured reserve for him. He's not made the change there, so I'm fairly certain I'm going to get this win here, folks. And hopefully, if I don't, then I'm going to be in some big trouble. But I'm looking at this needing to be the win for me. So another big matchup here is a 6-1 a matchup right here. The Suge Knights versus the Murder Boners. This would essentially be the first round of the playoffs if the playoffs were to start today. So this is a good matchup to see, how they would match up in the playoffs right here. But it's also a kind of a must win for the Murder Boners because there are people sitting at 3-4 that are going to be gunning and are just waiting for him to drop to 4-4 so they can drop to 4-4, and the whole thing can get mixed and matched. So it's going to be interesting to see who they deploy. We can look at a little bit of who they're deploying here. Carson Wentz at San Francisco is going to be really big. Deshaun Watson at Seattle, that could be a difference maker there. So I think this is going to come down to the battle of the quarterbacks here. And then that 29-point lead that I was talking to you folks about versus Never Bowing Down, who got a key victory last week versus the Suge Knights. We have a FundRaisers who's desperately looking to move up to 4-4, and Never Bowing Down is trying to get up with the top dogs in the league. He's trying to get up to 6 wins with ESO Legends and with the Suge Knights, and he's looking to take advantage of the FundRaisers. But the FundRaisers has a 29-point lead already, and you can take a look at some of the matchups that they have set as of right now. The recording of this video, it might change. We'll see. It's a lot of home matches versus a lot of away matches, and we'll see who comes out on top here. For the fourth matchup here, we have Dibalas, who sits at 2-5 versus a 3-4 Isaiah's team here, and a 16-point lead already, but it's not a good 16. You have Justin Tucker with 12 points, which is good, but your flex player getting you 4 points, that's pretty bad. You don't want that, and then Jay Ajayi just did not perform. So we have the fifth, seed trying to move up and get into that spot versus the 9th seed who's trying to really just make his way, trying to really salvage the season here. Then we have ESO Legends versus Prima, who had the heartbreaking loss to me last week. Very heartbreaking. He has 5 points here, and that 5 points comes from Javoris Allen, who in that win only got 5 points, which is a real letdown, especially when you're going up against a juggernaut like the ESO Legends, who is performing very well this season. It's gonna be hard. You needed a very big performance in that blowout, and then for him to only get 55 rushing yards is a bit of a disappointment in a 40-0 win. But a lot of that had to do with the defense. The defense absolutely destroyed the Miami offense, so it wasn't much that the offense could really do. And so that is it, folks. That is it. That is the Week 6 and Week 7 recap, folks. Here you guys can see all the standings right out here. You guys can see the points for, the points against. A whopping difference, 776 points for our defending league. You see what we're having to reach? He's going to reach 1,000 points. I guarantee you guys before the playoffs start, and that is really scary. But you guys can see the division down here, the division 2, the division I'm in. Everybody won last week. All right, everybody won. We even have somebody who's on a 2-game winning streak, and so that just looks really well. I'm sitting at 7th right now. I went up 2 spots, and I'm kind of in that between 9th and 7th spot, so I need to keep on winning here. I need some people to lose. I need the 3 and 4 teams to lose here with the matchups that I just went over. So I do need the FundRaisers to lose. I do need Isaiah's team to lose, and I do need sitting at 4 and 3. I do need the Murder Bonus to lose, and if that comes to truth, then I'll be pretty much right back into this thing. And that would be awesome. All right, that would be awesome. But that is it, folks. Let me know how you're enjoying the league this year, what you guys think of everything going on in the comment section below. And, of course, the show will return next week, folks, hopefully with a guest. but it's been kind of hard for me to get guests this week because of everybody's more busy than we were at this time last year. But nevertheless, you will see another guest eventually. I just don't know when that is. So with that being said, folks, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch one of my videos. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're new here and you think I deserve a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. And with that being said, folks, I will see you all in the next video. Until then, I'm DimitriusMac, and I'm out. Peace.